Hello and welcome to Kump. As you can see, there is no video today. Don't complain to me because we have a very special guest that'll make up for any of your misgivings. I want to give a warm Kump welcome to a man who is right now stranded in a COVID wasteland. He's spent Thanksgiving alone. He can tell us what he's been doing, but I presume it's sitting in filth, perhaps, eating, scraps. He's possibly lost a lot of weight. Please give a warm welcome to Tim Dillon.
How great would it be if you had Rogan and that's how you brought Joe Rogan on? Like you were like, he's in a COVID wasteland. I don't know what he's doing. Give it up for Joe Rogan. Like, wouldn't it be great to just give him like that type of introduction?
I mean, look, how is it over there?
Introductions are one of the funniest things because there are people that are so bad at them.
Right.
That before you even start the interview, you're like I've been angry at people because they're so bad at the introduction. They don't know, or they say something you did 6 years ago.
This guy was this guy. I saw him on Gotham Comedy, Access Comedy on Gotham, whatever it was called.
Yeah, it's like, have you done? Because then they always go, "Hey, man, I'm such a big fan. Thanks so much for doing this." And then they go like this. They go, "This guy's a regular at Governor's Comedy Club in Long Island." I'm like, could you have done any research?
This guy can be seen at Wild Heart Tattoo Shop.
Yeah, right.
Wild Child.
I just had a thing with the people that run that. Shout out to Fleming's Steakhouse. Do you have Fleming's on the East Coast?
You're acting like you didn't grow up here, like until a year ago. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what goes on over there anymore. I mean, I'm here now.
I haven't left my house since you left New York.
Well, anyway, remember they do this to you. You order steak and they give you the plastic knife. I go, guys. I said I need, because I just moved into my house. I don't have utensils. I said I need the real knife. I said I'll pay you for it.
Right.
And the woman's like, we can't do it. I'm like, it's Thanksgiving. She goes, we can't do it. So then I go, listen, Google me. I said, I speak to 500,000 people a week. I said, I speak to 500,000 people a week on a podcast. And I said, I'll say very good things about Fleming.
I thought you finally pulled that card at Fleming's.
I pulled a card and it worked. I got a knife for $12.50. And I'm like,
oh, they charged you $12.50?
Oh, they charged me these pieces of shit, and they refused to give me a fork. But I'm like, we're screaming and yelling. I got to pull rank for a fucking $12.50. I thought it was I'm like, dude, enough already. $12.50. I mean, they get them for cheaper.
Well, look, they have decent knives, but here's the deal: you go to a dollar store and they'll sell you like 4 steak knives for like $3, and they're like, just give those away with takeout if you need to. They'll cost you like 20 cents. You know?
I just don't know. Listen, I know most people have utensils, but there's got to be a certain amount of people that, for whatever reason, just don't have a steak knife.
I don't have steak knives. I've been eating steak. I'm off keto at the moment, but because of my teeth. I had a number of teeth issues recently. Multiple teeth.
That's why you're off keto, for the teeth issues?
No, honestly, it's hard to eat steak when you have I've got a bridge on one side that I have to take out every time I eat, and the other side they had to pull the tooth, and so I'm waiting for it to heal before they can do anything there. There's this big gap there, and there's a root canal thing behind that, so I can't chew on either side of the mouth. I was like, the dentist was like, chew on the other side, but he knew. I'm like, no, I have that bridge you said you're going to try and fix. Oh yeah, try a softer diet for a while.
Yeah, the dentist looked at you. He's like, well, first things first. Just by observing you, I could tell you're on keto, right? Okay. The diet for the fattest. Keto is the diet for the fattest people that I've ever met in my life, myself included. It is the diet. If you're over 300 pounds, you're on keto. This is the easiest diet.
No, doctor. Doctor, I'm allowed to eat this much mayonnaise. It's a part of the diet.
It's the easiest diet to sell the fat fuck. It's basically like, listen, you like cream spinach? How about a bucket of it?
It's been the best. It's amazing because, look, all you gotta do is not eat bread. You can eat as much bacon, as much butter, as much fucking whatever steak. We still can't stick to it.
You still can. And by the way, try to explain keto to like anyone that's ever been healthy, they look at you like you have 19 heads. You're like, by the way, I can't have any grains, but do you have any bacon? Because I'm going to make a bacon and mayonnaise smoothie. I mean, it's really crazy, but I got to get on a version of it because it's like the carbs do make you feel like shit.
No, I feel awful right now. I started drinking. Basically, he told me to go on a softer diet for a while. So I'm like, all right. So I already have a blender. It's decent. It's a Ninja blender. Decent quality. And
right.
So I started making smoothies for the first 4 days. But then I would just you try drinking smoothies for every meal, and you start getting not blocked up, but just full. It's like filling up a turducken or something, or like it's like what's that thing? I'm like foie gras,
What kind of smoothies were you having?
Well, I was taking. All right, I'll tell you what I was doing. All right, so I put frozen berries, banana, almond milk, oats, just raw oats, and what else? Protein powder. And I mixed it together. But, I was making them too big, and I was probably just drinking too much of it and too often. And so I was just feeling very just full, because it's like when someone's like putting glue inside of something. You know what I mean? When you inject something with a liquid, like a mold, like it's basically like drinking smoothies as a fat guy is just basically putting an injection mold into yourself. It's
now
no good.
The smoothie was the before keto. It was a smoothie, it's the classic fat move. It's like, well, my mother used to make milkshakes in the house with powders and shit. The smoothie was before keto. It was like, hey, you like milkshakes? What if you could drink milkshakes all day and lose weight? You go, yeah, why not?
Right. Yeah, it's just like it's Carnation Instant Breakfast, but they call it a weight loss shake.
If anyone comes up to us and goes, how about you just eat like a human being? We go, hey, fuck you, buddy.
Why don't you just be like...
How about a little... Yeah, a little rice, a little brown rice, a little chicken, a little broccoli. Hey, fuck you.
You don't understand. It's called ketosis. It's a metabolic state. Your body goes through a different metabolic... You got to piss on a strip. You're pissing on a strip?
Yeah. It's keto's a diet where you got to just constantly keep pissing all over your hands.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But yeah, so I don't have a steak knife is the point. So when over the summer and in the fall when I was doing keto and eating steaks every day in the air fryer, I was just basically at the table with a chef's knife, like a full 8-inch chef's knife, and just cutting it up. Well, yeah, it works, but it feels a little. I feel like Hannibal Lecter kind of.
I just love when I have to fight for nothing. This is my life. I fight and I fight and I fight for nothing. You know what I mean? I'm put through the ringer. I got to jump through the hoops. I got to brag about my fucking podcast so that I can get a $12 knife.
I love how
not getting in the club.
They're charging you for it, and it's not like, do they comp you a dessert at least?
Not only did they not comp me a dessert, they said they couldn't do the tuna tartare because it's raw, and they couldn't do anything raw to go.
What?
When I said, I don't understand that. They go, well, we just thought it's our policy. I'm
Doesn't make any sense.
I
get it. I get it because look, I do get it now as I think about it because you could leave it in your trunk for 8 hours in the sun and then then you go to eat it and you get sick.
Yeah, wouldn't that be my fault?
Yeah,
wouldn't it be my fault if I left tuna tartare in the car overnight?
Well, everyone's afraid of getting sued because they see these quote unquote frivolous lawsuits that the media's put out there. It's like, oh, old woman.
I was going to start screaming, I have COVID. I was going to be like, I have COVID.
Just spitting on the floor.
Let me eat one more meal. Just let me eat one more goddamn meal.
My wife's died of COVID. What kind of steak did you get?
A petite filet.
What is that exactly, petite filet?
Just a small filet mignon, a petite filet. It's
that's not much. You need more than that. What they bang you for that?
$50.
$50 for the petite filet.
And then I had crab cakes and lobster bits.
Oh, okay. But still, that seems like the filet mignon at like Walensky's wasn't even $50, was it, or was just that? Like this place,
they're all banging you. They're all banging you now. I mean, the prices of steaks, they're like stupid. Like ribeyes are $112 for no reason. Like,
what?
It's gone out of control.
Like the ones we used to get at Walensky, the Colorado ribeye, like just regular one like that.
Those were like 57. I don't know what those are. I haven't been there in a year, but like any steakhouse now, they're all just absurd. Like $100 used to mean a steak for two people.
Yeah.
Now it means like one person.
Yeah, like a full-on porterhouse or two was like what, $120, like a high-end steakhouse. It was. That's crazy.
Should be.
This is the point of COVID. It's to draw people into a situation where they have to like pay premium prices for like, you know, what is that? You playing piano?
I'm gonna get so many people mad at me for the Candace Owens episode because I have Candace on the show, and it's like I don't really challenge her because I just kind of giggle and shit at what she says. Like I'm just not that kind of interviewer.
Right.
I just don't give a shit.
You're not gonna debunk people.
Like, really give a shit. I don't care. That's the other thing. It's like this whole idea that I gotta care. Like she's like, you know, I said, hey, it seems to make sense to people that like black people have had a harder time of it in America than white people. And then she's like, what do you mean? And I just started laughing because I started laughing. I'm like, what a way. I mean, then I start going into like the redlining and I'm like, what about this and that? And she starts screaming. All right, listen, this is the way she feels. Like, you know, this isn't like some great journalistic endeavor here. You know?
I really look here. Two things. A, you're not going to convince her, and the people who say, "Well, you shouldn't be platforming her." If you're going to agree with that, you're going to find her. Like no one needs to platform her. She's a huge star.
It's like she's a massive star. We get to some interesting stuff with her. She's like, you know, we got her to admit that maybe we should decriminalize the drugs here. You know, how about we decriminalize the drugs? We have like a conversation I would have with somebody at lunch.
Can you imagine if like one of your listeners, your diehard fans, is listening? Here's your like you know, whatever objection. Like, oh, don't you think they have heart? Here's her pitch and goes, you know, this fat fuck's wrong. She's onto something.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what am I supposed to say? Like, this is the problem with this shit.
No, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, look, she's a ridiculous person. Like, she knows what we spent the whole podcast talking about people like her. Just like it's old school grift. And
this is whatever the woman feels the way she feels.
Yeah.
Whether it's I'm not in her heart, I'm not in her head.
Sure.
So like whatever she feels as she feels, the woman does seem to feel the way she feels. What do you want me to do?
Right.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, she goes, well, your argument is proven wrong because she goes, your attitude on abortion is based on the generation you grew up in. And I go, yeah, but my attitude that I think it's okay that you vote is also based on that. Right. She goes, yeah, there's good things. She goes, yeah, there's good things. So I'm like, well, all right. I mean, you know, what are we doing?
It's not really made to go too deep with. I'm not even trying to, you know, look, this is not her fault. If people didn't buy it, it's capitalism at this point. Like, this is not like, I mean, it's different than like actual hate crime shit or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, like Richard Spencer, one of those guys. It's like, if people want to buy this, it's their fault. It's you know, if she's going to come in, like, they're legitimate marks is the point.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good episode. She's fun. I'm glad she came on. You know,
no, she's a charismatic figure.
She's a great sense of humor. It's kind of like, I don't know, folks. Go find like there's people on my Instagram that are like, I'll shoot this one out. It's like, well, you go do that. You do that. That's okay.
I like how people try and gear up to like take you down as if like anyone propped you up in the first place.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah. How about you sit that one out? You know, how about you sit that one out? If you don't want to hear what she's got to say, you don't have to. That's a great thing about America. you have the ability to not listen. You don't have to announce you're not listening, but everyone does. Everyone does. Everyone's got to go, hey, Tim, I'm a big fan, but I'm going to sit this one out.
Right.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you. I don't know. I think it was a fun episode. This is the thing when you have guests. It's like there's two ways you can do an interview. You can go at them, be very combative, try to create like some viral moment of you being combative, or you could just go, fuck it, which is kind of what I do. I'm like, I want the grift. Like, I'm more interested in the spiel. Like, if I'm getting sold by a salesman, maybe it's because I used to be in sales. I sit back and I'm like, let him go. Let him rip. Yeah, I know it's not. I know the rates are wrong. I know he's not going to be able to do what he says. But let him go. He's in a moment. Let's let him go. And it's kind of the way I feel about her. I'm like, she's selling. And I'm just sitting there going like, okay, we'll see what you got.
Look, it is. Look, I'm sure it's a great episode. Fuck everyone. What are we preserving at this point? Like, what are we even like? Right. What are we arguing? Yeah. Like the president.
You're like, oh, it's your grifter. It's like, I don't know. You get a grift then. I don't know what to tell you. What do you think's left in this country? By the way, there's not much left.
Hey, the president's like the president's still like refusing to leave the White House. Oh, we can chew and eat gum at the same time. No, we can't. Like, just focus on one thing.
No, we can't. Yeah.
The country's
people are still having like 20-person Thanksgivings and coughing in their grandmother's throat.
Yeah, but you gotta worry about what Tim Dillon has in his show. Yeah,
Whitney Cummings, a friend of mine, comedian, gave me a lot of furniture. She gave me a lot of furniture, high-end furniture, probably about $100,000 worth of furniture.
Wow.
I'm gonna give her something. I'm gonna give her like $20,000 or something. But she's giving it to me for the house that I rented. And I had never done a full move because I never owned anything. So I always just left with like, you saw how I moved. I'd fill a laundry bag with clothes and I would take out a laptop. That was it.
No, you'd offer me books that you were, like just weird Norman Mailer books and like, just garbage all over your floor. I mean, look, up until a year ago, you lived like a pauper.
Absolutely. And this is the first legitimate. And so the moving was like $1,200 to move. And then the three guys worked all Thanksgiving.
Wait, that was only $1,200 for the move? To move all that stuff?
$1,200 for the move.
That seems pretty reasonable.
But then I was fine. So I gave them an $800 tip because they worked all of Thanksgiving. And it was three guys. So at least it's like $2 something each, right?
Yeah.
$250, $260. Like, and they were so happy, man. They were so grateful for it. But what a move.
Yeah.
What a fucking
Would you get a nice dining room table?
Ben was supposed to come up. Ben was supposed to come over, but supposedly he had Thanksgiving plans with his wife at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Ben is your podcast producer / personal assistant for those who don't know.
Yeah, Ben supposedly had, I don't know what they were doing. They went to the turkey trot, I guess, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So he couldn't come over and help. I don't know what he was doing. He was, and now I text him, I go, what are you doing tomorrow? Are you trick-or-treating? Or can we do a little work? Are you Christmas caroling? Are you caroling? Or can you come over for a few hours and bang out a little work?
Did he really go on a turkey trot this morning?
No, I don't know what he did. But
it's hard finding, good people.
Well, he's great, but at the end of the day, it's like, nobody works. Right. And nobody works. And then if you ask anyone that's under 30 or you tell them that you don't like the job they've done, they cry.
Yeah.
And they have a tantrum and they tell you they love you. I mean, that's the new way to get over is you just start crying, going, I love you. I'm so sorry. I disappointed you. And then you don't change your behavior at all.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
This is a phenomenon I've witnessed as well. It's just this kind of infantilized, not just, amongst the men, but everyone's just an emotional basket case. And they break down and start crying. Do you think that that's actually legitimate? Like they actually just are fragile, or do you think they just learn from their weak parents to I'll just throw a tantrum and like get my way?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think people are fragile now, though. As much as I'd like to say these kids are like diabolical,
yeah.
I do think they're fragile. I really do. I do believe we have this learned fragility as the great Rush Limbaugh would say, learned helplessness, learned fragility. There's who's still alive, by the way. He has stage 5 lung cancer, stage 17 lung cancer.
He got that medal like a year ago.
He's going to be the only one that survives COVID.
Yeah.
I sent him an email in Palm Beach. I'm like, hey, man, I am a fan. Can I interview you? And of course, he never responded. Of course. But
do you think he just bathes naked in a bathtub with that medal on?
I mean, if he's not, he's making a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a ball
move.
Be.
What did you say? He bathes naked with what on?
That medal. Remember Trump put that medal on him last year as the State of the Union?
He just bathes naked. They just find his dead body floating in a tub naked with that Congressional Medal of Freedom.
He was a real hero.
He was a man. But it's learned fragility, meaning there was something that happened in this country, and I don't know when it happened. Everything became about your emotions. Everything became about how you were feeling and your mental health and wellness and self-care, and everything became about how you were feeling every moment of the day, and that you needed to, the kids that Dan Carney opened for me, he was great, but he uses words like quality of life. I just wanted a great quality of life. So I'm like, no one I know grew up using that terminology. People I want a roof over my head, but now these kids have been they've been told that that their mental constitution is entirely dependent on them being comfortable. And I understand mental health and being mentally healthy, but these kids are now told hey, your mental health is entirely dependent on everybody around you telling you how great you are and loving you at every minute.
Every great artist 20 years ago, including yourself, was living in a crack den at his age. And he's just, I want a great quality of life. You imagine all these guys in the 60s and the 70s, even these guys who came up in the 80s, who probably lived in fucking shitty, rundown areas in New York City. These guys in comedy, I mean, even it's just the level of.
You know what it is? So you can't get upset with anyone under 30 because they will literally cry. I mean, they will literally cry, and they will tell you that they're so sorry and they need to go to therapy. And I'm like, dude, I wanted you to work for 2 hours on the morning of Thanksgiving when there's a pandemic and there's nothing going on. We're getting free, not free, but we're getting heavily discounted furniture for our podcast studio.
Yeah.
And it's how about we work for 2 hours? And then he sends me a whole big thing back. He's like, hey, man, I'm sorry I didn't communicate with you that I was busy. I got to stop doing this. You're owed more. I got to go to therapy. I'm like, you don't have to go to therapy. Just come. Yeah, it's I am owed more. Then just do the thing.
Yeah.
Do the job. It's every which way but the job. It's I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to go on a silent retreat. No. It's he just goes to therapy. That's more time he's not available. It's no, this isn't the solution.
I have to work on my chakra.
How great would it be if you went to therapy and he explained the situation? The therapist looked at him and went, why don't you fucking go and help the guy move?
Yeah. Isn't that your job?
Isn't that your job? Yeah, that therapy session should be over in 20 minutes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're all weaned on therapy. That's the grift. It's just no one. These therapists could probably fix people in a week. Just go, hey, stop. Stop hitting your kids. Stop drinking.
So much of it is just. So much of it is very. People are very life is hard. This is what people should get through their heads, right? Which none of this generation under 30 seems to get. Life is hard. For the majority of people on the planet Earth, it's brutal, short, and horrible. Okay? Life. Now there's moments of levity and fun and whatever, but it's a tough thing. Life is hard. This is what these people are finding out. It can be great, but not all the time, not every minute, not every second. Most of what you have to do in life is drudgery. It's I got to do this. I love performing. How much of that is how much of my day is getting on a plane, checking in a hotel, everything I hate to get to something that I love to do. So when I'm like, hey man, can we move the table for 2 hours? It becomes this strange thing where I'm taking the unfun world and injecting it into the reality of but it's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is fun.
I mean, how many?
It's for me.
How many years have we been making this point that like it's for fucking children? All these holidays are for children.
They're all for children, but these are children.
Yeah.
We have children, you know. So people are like, I'm gonna try to. I didn't request the whole Thanksgiving. I wasn't like the whole day. I was like, hey, how about a couple hours in the morning? And you know, it became. I get it, man.
I remember being on a job and like you know, I was like 18, working at a retail store, and like my manager was like, and it wasn't like one of these like corporate retail. It was a smaller shop. I was like, hey, yeah, I wanted to take my birthday off. He's like, your birthday? How old are you? Like, I mean, like, and you get that. You hate your birthdays. You don't give a shit about them. But I'm saying, like, these guys are like 26, 27. Like, no one's ever checked them on this stuff. It's crazy. But
it's like there's something about it that I think goes back to like this idea, which is now very popular. This is a very, very popular idea, and I don't know where this came from. This idea of like balance, you know, where everybody's like, I want a balanced life. I want everything to be balanced. So I need to have equal parts, because balance is, you know, essentially like equal. So I need to have equal parts of everything all the time. I need equal parts love, equal parts work, equal parts fun, equal parts health, equal parts success. And there was this idea that when I grew up, you would maybe make sacrifices for years. Many people made sacrifices for the majority of their lives.
I don't know. Right? I mean, because like Michael Jordan was all about balance and well-rounded in this.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. It was very balanced. You know. So this is what I mean when I think that like there's this idea that like, well, I just can't work for 2 hours on Thanksgiving because that's a holiday, and that's when I have my time with my wife, and I understand that.
Yeah, but you know what?
Is why I require.
Right.
Yeah.
You know who's into that is like Norwegians or like Scandinavian, like these Nordic
countries.
countries.
Yeah, but it's also people that work at Geico. Like, dude, go work at Geico. No,
but that's my point. It's like, but these people are like, Dan like wants to be a star, but also I want to live like, you know, a balanced IKEA life. And it's like, you have one or the other.
Well, the other thing is like, listen, there's a value to living a very normal humdrum life. What I'm trying to do and what people in my business are trying to do is kind of fucking wild and crazy. And we have to not like we can't observe every convention that regular people do. So sometimes things might need to get done on a holiday. Sometimes things might need to get done during a time. Sometimes things might need to get done at 2:00 in the morning because I feel like working at 2:00 in the morning. And if I feel like working at 2:00 in the morning and you don't, and you work for me, that's a problem.
Right.
And if you don't feel like working at 2:00 in the morning, that's okay. You don't have to work with me and for me. And I'm not mad at him. I'm just saying that like. This is when you have an unconventional life, you're signing up for an unconventional life. And that life means you don't have to work as much as everyone else. You never have to really clock in, but you might have to work at odd times. You might have to work at weird times. You might have to like, you know, do things that seem crazy, like, you know, do things that other people wouldn't do. Like, I'm sure like his wife was like, well, why do you have to help move this stuff into his house? And it's like, well, number one, it's a podcast table for the studio. Number two, it's work. Like going and emptying shit out that we're going to fucking use is work. And we got to clean stuff off and empty drawers. Like it's a job. And listen, we made it on Thanksgiving because that's when the movers could do it because the 2 days that were open were Thanksgiving and December 5th. And those were the 2 days. And it's like, you know, if you choose to do it on Thanksgiving, you know it's Thanksgiving. Now, my head, I'm like, it's a pandemic. Nobody's having Thanksgiving.
Right.
You can have Thanksgiving any day, any night. So I think it's just people that say they want to take something all the way and go all the way and go really hard and work, and, you know, but at the end of the day, they really want to be a basic bitch. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But that's kind of deep down who most people are. They're like, yeah,
it's like that movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. It's like the kid realized I don't want to be a great chess player. And the movie made you seen that movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about this chess kid and he's like his dad is pushing him hard because he discovers chess. and he's got to go. His kid's like 7 or 8. And he has a breakdown, and then finally they realize, oh, you should be able to play baseball and all this shit. And the movie makes it seem like he was able to do both. But then I got into chess later on in life, and I realized, oh yeah, this kid's like a master, but he never made the grandmaster, let alone become like a champion. Like he's a loser. He like I knew people who played with him in Washington Square Park. He's a loser. So it's like, it's fine.
Which kid is this?
Josh Waitskin. He was doing the fucking tutorials on Chessmaster 5000. I got for Christmas one year.
Did you watch the Queen's Gambit?
No, it seemed insane. I haven't seen the trailer even, but
I watched 3 episodes. I couldn't do it.
Look, the people who are great at chess. I mean, you have on one side Bobby Fischer, who's just like, we've played his tapes on the old show. Like him calling in on 9/11 to the Argentine radio station, just
great.
Like, oh, it's a great day, Pablo. Fucking and blaming the Jews for everything.
I mean, that to me, that's the real Queen's Gambit. I mean, but I want that. I want to watch that. Where's that series on Netflix about Bobby Fischer screaming about Jews?
Yeah, they do everything except for that.
It's more interesting. It's like, how did he get there? Someone explain how he got there.
And then you have like Gary Kasparov, who's getting like poisoned by Putin. He's trying to become the governor of Georgia or some shit. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but they're a crazy bunch. And it is what I mean. Chess is just kind of every idiot plays chess now. It's like when we grew up, it was a thing where like it seemed smart. I was on the chess team. I was a captain of my chess club in high school. And it seemed like, but now every moron you see on the waiting for the bus is playing chess online with each other. It's the whole mystique is ruined. There's no more. It's not a noble pursuit anymore. Now it's just like kids who play online poker might as well be the same thing. Like the champion right now is like 15. He's just some guy who's like playing World of Warcraft on one screen, playing chess on 15 on the 15 screens on the other. But
yeah, I mean, I just think that like so much of everything now just bored. I'm just bored, and I don't want to be I just like when I watch something, I'm like, it's boring. I'm bored.
Right.
It's we're in like the second wave, the second lockdown. Trump's just still not leaving.
The third even.
Yeah, whatever wave whatever wave we're in, I'm bored by it. I know it's horrible and people get sick, and I hope they don't. I'm not going anywhere. And
right.
I just thought, I find every expression of culture boring. I find every argument boring. I find every person making any people are mad about a Jordan Peterson book again. The guy's been in a coma for a year. Nobody. I just can't even
Does he have a new book?
Brain was wiped clean. He's got a new book called 12 More Rules for Life. It's like, how did he even write that? Wasn't his brain wiped clean? What
I think
the fuck happened?
his cam girl daughter probably ghostwrote it for him.
Right. So I'm just like, people are mad. Penguin Publishing House, they had a big thing through a fit. I can't believe you're publishing Jordan Peterson book. I'm like, wasn't this a news story 2 years ago?
This guy, the guy's a kook, right? The guy's like, I mean, a lot of his lectures are kind of interesting. The old school stuff he was doing.
But no one cares about him anymore. It's like they're making him relevant. It's like the guy you're mad about.
Also, the worst thing he did was say hey, I mean, he did say something weird about marriage, but besides that, the worst thing he said was take responsibility. It was like, this guy's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's also guys, just fucking don't you ever get over it. Don't you ever get over anything it's not important anymore. No one cares.
It's amazing how this generation, yeah, well, a lot of them don't see it as a win. But it's amazing that this generation
they shouldn't.
Right.
He's more of a Republican than Trump.
This generation was the least effective of any generation, probably, as far as organizing and
right,
all that shit is the most whipped up about ever. They're like little bees flying around, and they need to feel like they've won. The whole civil rights movement was able to shift the needle over years gradually because they were just smart, methodical, and they have and was persistent, and these people just hopping from thing to thing every week, and it's just what do you who's your target? What do we even we're just against anyone who sounds confident? Is that the thing? Anyone who sounds anyone who isn't kind of like just subservient and going, oh, I'm a real big fucking, white people. I'm not making it as a race thing. It was just like, how much of a fuck, they like anyone who's got any opinion that isn't like completely subservient is just like, like villain number one.
I just can't imagine caring. Like,
yeah,
I can't imagine actually caring, and then I can't imagine a lot of these people actually care, and they have to like rev themselves up for it. And it's like, you're making a news story when there doesn't need to be one. Just publish the fucking book. It's not going to nearly sell as well as the first fucking book. No one fucking cares. Just let it go. It's so fucking annoying. It's
the guy was in a Turkish prison having COVID fits 6 weeks ago.
The guy was having fucking electroshock therapy in Russia. Like,
it's the point. It's the point you always make about Milo. With this, when Milo's supposed to be on the skanks, and like everyone got mad that he was going to be on the skanks, and you're like, he's in the basement of a Mexican restaurant in Long Island City. Like, he's lost already.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's so boring right now. It's like, I get it, because this is how you become a basic bitch. Like, I can kind of feel myself doing it. Like, this is how you just start getting interested in cars and like, oh, I want to get this type of grill. Like, I get it, because after a while you start realizing like, oh, there are no solutions. It ain't going to work. And you're like, okay, I guess I should just start now I look at the birds in my backyard and I'm like, is this how my father gets so like checked out? Like, my dad's completely just checked out. I'm like, this is how it happens, because like 10 years from now, people are still going to be mad about Jordan Peterson. And I can either pay attention to that or look at my backyard and be like, is that a finch? Like, I could just, like, that's what happens. I
picture you like fucking stupid Hank Paulson in the fucking, in that movie, that Too Big to Fail movie. He's just like looking at birds while the economy's collapsing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I'm going to end up.
It's not a bad hobby. You get nice. Honestly, I used to sell these things. You get a nice pair of like Swarovski binoculars or something. Looking at birds is nice when you're looking through a nice piece of glass. It can be a nice hobby for you. They have nice.
I mean, you just got to start getting into something, man. I mean, this is the problem with politics and fucking culture. It's like, you just got to start getting into something. It's like we're circling the drain in the society. I can't even challenge people on their ideas anymore. I just kind of giggle, and I just want to have fun and be funny, and like this revolutionary spirit, it doesn't exist.
Right.
This is so stupid, and you just got to kind of unfortunately check out. You got to check out after a while. It feels
I think a lot of people like they get disillusioned not so much because of like how hard it is to fight, but when you realize the people you're fighting, how full of shit the people you're fighting with are. You know what I mean?
I remember when I was like, oh, stand-up comedy is going out. I didn't know how. This seems like a pretty definitive blow to it. Yeah. But, watching that art form sail off into irrelevancy, and not, because even of the pandemic really, but because technology has just kind of flattened everything, and it's given everybody the ability to be funny. And then once everyone has the ability to be funny, you go, well, if the neighbor is funny, and they put something on YouTube or whatever, why do I care about a guy that probably isn't naturally funny, who's worked for years to get funny? Like, why? Because most people just want to laugh. They don't respect the craft of comedy, right? That's the same way I look at the media landscape and the public intellectuals. It's like, well, most people just want to hear something, right? They don't care that you went places and worked places and studied and crafted your views in any specific way and challenged them and or received accolades and won Pulitzer. They give a shit.
Well, it's like if some guy does some fucking coin trick in front of you, you might be impressed. And then Penn comes out. Oh, that's bullshit. I can see his fucking movements and stuff. And I don't know. I don't know what this is. It's this hyper fucking focus, which magic doesn't really have. But it's this hyper focus on the supposed craft. When it's supposed to be a carny act. It's supposed to be a fucking gimmick. The occasional you have the occasional Carlin or the occasional Hicks or whatever. But, it's just there. You're supposed to go out and just have fun, get drunk, eat chicken fingers. It's there to sell chicken fingers. And then people are trying to make it into this whole life's vocation.
I'm trying to get this guy on Snapchat in London to show me his dick because he just started bothering me on Instagram. And then I'm just like, just show me your dick. Show me the keep messaging me. He's like, I'm gonna do it. I don't think he's ever gonna do it.
Wait, what do you mean he was harassing you, like, hey, you suck kind of thing?
No. We're just going on and on about, I should get Katie Hopkins on the show. Get Katie Hopkins on the show.
Who's Katie Hopkins?
She's the white Candace Owens in Britain. He's like, these immigrants, they all smell like shit or whatever. Like, God only knows.
What happened to Britain? I thought Britain was supposed to be the higher class one. They all smell bad.
I don't know what she says, but whatever. Like, okay. So, no, but she does shit like that. It's worse than that or whatever,
Yeah.
And I know they got problems with the immigrants over there, but I'm like, all right, man, just show me your dick. They made him download Snapchat because the pictures disappear.
So is this guy like? Do you know he was gay, or you just kind of like playing?
He says he's bi and he's whatever. I'm never gonna see. He's fucking London. I'm just bored.
Yeah.
I'm like, show me. I'm trying to get her. Show me that. I'm like, just show me your dick, you idiot. He's like, it's not a great dick. I'm like, I know you're British. Doesn't matter. Show it to me. Who cares? I'm bored.
How much of the gay community online is like just wasting time? Is there a lot of time wasting in?
How much of all communities are just wasting time?
That's a good point. But I feel like actually, that being said, when I used to date online, it was also kind of a waste most of the time. But I just feel like it's annoying.
It's all a waste of fucking time, dude. It's all a waste of time. I think at a certain point, what happens is if you find someone halfway decent, you just go, all right, let's just do this because, and I mean long term even because you go, you know what? Like, I'm just sick of this shit.
No, I mean, how much how much of life is supposed to be devoted to this fucking pursuit? Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
I mean, it's just annoying.
Have you been meeting people out there during the pandemic?
It's hard. I mean, I met a few people out in Palm Springs when I was there, and but it's very hard. It's very difficult in the pandemic. It's like it's fucking weird, and I meet more people on the road. When I go on the road, it's a lot more fun because it's like, I'm only in town for a while. It's fun. It's like we all get what it is. And come back to LA. LA just sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because
everybody in LA is just the best looking place in the world. Everybody's like, and it's just you go on the road and people are just impressed by a lot more. They're just impressed. Like it's like in LA, it's like you got a blue check mark. So's my dog. It's like on the road. You go to Arizona, people are like, whoa.
The problem is if you moved out. Let's say you moved to where's a place you could move? Yeah, but like somewhere. Let's say you moved to somewhere even like smaller, even like Richmond, Virginia, and you were like you were a big star over there. Like, how weird would that get within like 6 months? Would everyone just be like, that's a weird creep like comedian who's just like? I'm saying is like when people stop being impressed.
Yeah, I just think the road is the move. When you travel, you meet people.
You move around, right? Like a car. Yeah,
it's more fun to go on the road. You meet people. You go, hey, I'm here a couple of days. I'm performing. What are you up to? There's an urgency. There's like, all right, well, you want to meet? Because I'm out of here. Yeah. And it's like, there's a novelty. And then you're back home and it's like, people just, no one care. It's like, it's also weird with the pandemic. And politics now is insane. Like, people putting shit in their bios on hookup apps. Like, you better be for defunding the police. What are we doing? What is this?
If you're not for fucking, if you haven't read Trotsky, I'm not sucking your dick.
Yeah, it's like you don't show up at this glory hole with your pro-police position. You're like, wait a minute, hold on.
I mean, that used to be,
it's like.
I mean, is there? They used to be a thing. Didn't guys gay guys used to hook up with cops and stuff, or wasn't that? Or am I just making it up in my head?
Oh, that probably is the case. I'm sure it was the case to a certain degree.
Probably gay cops.
What a horrible Thanksgiving. What a horrible Thanksgiving this has been, by the way, for everyone. Like, it just hit me how bad this has been. Like, this has been so atrocious. It's like everybody in the photos on Facebook looks already dead. They're like embalmed in a chair. They have masks on. That people are cooking shit. It looks so bad, dude.
Did you see my turkey I made?
It looked pretty good.
Yeah, I spank cocked it. Baby, what's it called? span-cocked? I can't remember what we call it.
What does that even mean?
It's when you slice it down the backbone. You slice the backbone out and spit cock it. It can't. I have it written down.
Spit cock. It sounds filthy. Spit cock.
Look at this spit cock turkey. Spatchcock. That's it. Spatchcocked.
Yeah, I mean it's like.
And so you kind of butterfly it out. Some guy on Instagram was like, "That's not spatchcocked. It's because it got bunched up in the picture." But trust me, I cut the backbone out. All right, it was hard. I don't have a good knife, so it was hard to do. But yeah, we made a nice little 2-person Thanksgiving. We had mashed potatoes, handmade, and we had stuffing. But yeah, I could have eaten fucking Denny's or not Denny's. I've never eaten Denny's in my life. What am I talking about? Like whatever, takeout, McDonald's. Like I don't understand this weird fixation on getting together and it's just like you think about what it was like in the Soviet Union in the 70s and people just living in shitty apartment blocks and just they just know the government's they're coming back from Afghanistan with legs missing and shit and everyone's just fucking depressed and come back on heroin and we're all just we can't eat fucking turkey together. It's just it's not making a fuss about it. It's not even a fucking deal. It's just relax. It's like
how funny would it be if they did get people to sign waivers that they couldn't go to the hospital if they went to their Thanksgiving and they EMTs had to show up at their house and go and they go no they're if their oxygen is low they're flapping around like a fish on the floor and the EMT's no.
They show up and they show up. The guy's been stabbed. We still can't do anything. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the level of. I mean, people act like this is World War II and everything. They act like this is World War II and we're rationing and it's just. I mean, the people who are out of work, it does suck. That's different. That's what. But that's not the people bitching. The people bitching, the people going oh, I can't believe I can't go fucking Thanksgiving. Half the people going to Thanksgiving anyway, and just, they don't give a shit. And the other half is bitching about it. And it's people need to get drafted in this country. What are we whining about?
Yeah, I mean,
it's just.
I feel like people should go to war. Send them to war, and Kamala will.
Yeah. Wait, you can say Iran?
I think Iran's next.
It'd be kind of weird because I'm not trying to start a war with China, which I maybe I have the power to do. I don't know, but it does. We were talking before. It does seem more and more like this. Maybe this is a bioweapon, just because it doesn't seem like China seems to be doing fine, unless they're lying about it, which they might be. They're pretty tight-lipped, but this would be as we're seeing it develop over with the wider picture now. Again, not to be conspiratorial, but it seems like. If it was a weapon, it did a good job. I mean, the economy's gutted. The Dow is spiking, which is but no one's working.
So listen, I have to cut this short. Every door in my house now, because of a windstorm, is opening, and none of them were all of them. I got to call a locksmith in tomorrow because they're all fucking coming up. So I just have to shut these doors because now leaves are blowing in. There's going to be a mountain lion coming in here telling me about QAnon.
Oh, thanks for doing the show. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. I'll do it again. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, buddy. So that was Tim Dillon. Yeah, so I guess we'll wrap it up. We're close to a full pod here. I was, it's good that they cut me off in the middle of my waxing philosophical about the war with China. But, yeah, it might happen. And, I'm not going to go fight. I mean, maybe I'll sit in a, Predator drone thing and I'll just, hit targets with a joystick. What do I know? So we'll wrap this up. Thanks for listening. Make sure to go get your I'm a Wine Bitch Princess t-shirts. You can find them on my Twitter page. There'll be a link on the description of this though too. But they're phenomenal shirts. They're they're available for a limited time. It's a wine bottle holding a butcher knife. It's a great t-shirt. You can listen to the Patreon. We have an episode every week. Extra episode, $5 a month. And, yeah, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RayKump. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a great day.